Ladies and gentlemen, it's Ryan Nelson here today at Rooster AM, and do I have a treat today? I have some really cool information. I have someone here who does great things for our community. Her name is Katie Crawford. She is part of the Tri-County Family Resource Center, and I really think that Enid needs to know about this organization. They do a lot of great things. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Katie, here's my question. Before we even start talking about Tri-County, who is Katie Crawford outside of your title of director? Because you're more of a human being than just a director of a resource center.
That's a great question. I have always been in helping professions. So let me start with my background. What did I go to school for? I went to school for psychology, and then I got certified as a special education teacher for kiddos with social emotional behavior disorders. That was up in Washington State. That's where I'm originally from before I moved to the small town of Enid. Actually, you're not so small anymore. But so I taught there. I taught kiddos with significant social emotional behavior disorders in a school for kiddos that weren't safe to be in a general education school. And so our goal was to teach them the skills to navigate education and frustrations around that, so that they could eventually go back to their home school. So when I came here, and I came here because my husband is from Enid and he is a disabled veteran and this is where he wanted to be, so we brought him here. So I came here and I was looking for a similar type of program to what I did in Washington at a specialized school for that, and I could not find anything like that anywhere close. There was something in, I think, Cushing, maybe. And I didn't want to drive that far, so I decided to take on a role of in-home parenting with a program called Safe Care. And through that, I got to be the engagement coordinator, which meant that I could go to all of the coalition meetings in town, all of the community events. I could network, I could talk to everybody and figure out what resources were available in Enid so that I could pass those on to my families. But also the goal was to let the community know about the resource of Safe Care. So I learned that there's a lot of resources in town that people don't know about. I would learn about one resource and I would tell somebody about it and they'd be like, I had no idea. And so I kept learning about all the different things and all the community partners that want to make Enid and Garfield County great. And so I was at one of those coalition meetings, and another professional in the community, Teresa Sharp, brought up a opportunity they had written for a grant to run the Family Resource Center, and she said that they were looking for someone that had social work experience and teaching experience, and I was like, I want that job. I want that. And so I kept bugging her about it, waiting for the position to be listed, and then it was listed and I applied, and I was also, I think when I interviewed for it, I was 8 months pregnant with my third son, and he was born on July 1st, and I started launching the Family Resource Center on the 22nd of June. So I took a little break to have the baby and then was back at it, and I had to get the Family Resource Center launched.
A July baby.
I do.
You better watch out. You know why? Because I am. I'm July 2nd.
You are? I'm a July as well.
Gosh, we are hard to handle.
No. I have a Leo. My son is a Leo. My second son and my husband's a Leo. My dad and my sister are Leos, and they are strong-willed.
Strong-willed, there you go.
Yes, and my son is feeling that so much.
So you have... you got some kids, you got a husband, you got a nice family, you got this job that's out to try and help a lot of people. I mean, that kind of splits your time up on how you help. You got to help your family, and then you have to help the people. Man, you must have some pretty hard days. What keeps you going through those days? Is there something that just fire in you that just says, hey, this is why I do what I do?
Yes. So within the Family Resource Center, we have an after-school program, so I help kiddos kindergarten through 5th grade, and seeing them be successful and like have a moment where they get to, like, they've answered a ton of questions and maybe they didn't think they could do that. So them doing things they didn't think they could and building that confidence in them. And then also for the parents as well, because I also work with the parents and caregivers. And so when they feel comfortable enough to reach out to me and ask me for help, that keeps me going, because it lets me know that I've built a relationship with that person and that they feel comfortable enough for that, because asking for help is hard. And a lot of us grew up thinking that asking for help was a weakness, all sorts of things like that. And it's really not. Once we ask for help, then we can get the help that we need, and then we can support others with helping. So I think just that infectious helping and seeing people benefit from that.
There is something about that is strange to me. I believe it's the failure of the church, because it's the church's job. Like, that's why they're nonprofit. Mm-hmm. Like, they were nonprofit to be able to help people, and then they've turned that nonprofit into helping themselves. So I think they've kind of failed at that. But it is the Christian mission. What you're doing right now, that's actually what it is. You're just not doing it through a church.
Well, actually, we are located inside the basement of Central Christian Church currently, but we are not attached to religion. But that is. Yeah, but
you guys are walking through the mission, I think, better than most churches do.
Well, maybe they can join us.
Exactly. That's what I'm going to get to towards the end of this thing. Sorry. You're just stealing my callbacks. No, it's okay. But I saw a thing the other day, and it was kind of like, wow, I saw this guy online. He posted, he said, I feel so ashamed right now that I'm even reaching out. I'm so sorry. I need help. I just want a job. I don't care what it is. I just need a job so I can make an extra $400 a month so I can get by. Can anyone please help me? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And first I was like, why are you apologizing? I'm like, you don't need to apologize. Like, you're amazing for wanting to go out and find something, to do something, and you're willing to reach out and say, I need help. Like, that is not something to be, is not shameful to need help. Right. Like, for some reason, people find it as man, walk through life long enough, you're eventually going to need help. Everyone will need it eventually. Yeah. And it may come in a different form. It may not be money. It might be spiritual help, emotional help. It might be just a friend. It might anyway. But there is no difference between someone who needs $400 and someone who needs to be loved. So it's like that the help is there. Like, people, it's here. You can find it in Enid, and sometimes it's hard to find if you don't know where to look. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of what you guys do. I mean, what exactly do you guys do for people? Like, when people come to the door and knock on the door, what is it that you actually do?
We talk with them and figure out what they need, where they're at in life, if they have any struggles, if they have strengths, how we can highlight those strengths. So usually families come to us through our after school program. The kiddos that we serve there, we have about 28 kiddos. And so their families come to us, but then we are trying to get those families to let other people know about us so that they can come to us. So when they come to us and we talk with them about what they have going on in their lives, what sorts of things they might need support with, or if they could have support, what would they want it with? And what we can do is we can connect them to any resource in town or out of town. If we don't know what resource they might need, then we have a network of people that we ask. If it's some sort of education or training, then our parent advisory committee works to schedule free trainings for the community, where they can come in and learn those things. We also have concrete resources, which are like hygiene items, food boxes, gun locks. We have hairbrushes, laundry detergent, pot and pan soap, all sorts of things. And the goal with that is that we can give those things out to families so that they can use the money they would have spent on those hygiene or those items and put them towards their utilities or whatever they actually need to focus that money on. So reducing the barrier and the burden for them in other areas, so that they can do what they feel they need to do with their money, to help their family or help themselves.
Right.
So, yeah, we do the food resources, we do community resources, but we also, I guess, one of the big things we offer is connection. Everybody's out there seeking connection in one way or another. And that's what we offer, whether that's between myself and the resource support specialist staff on hand, and the parents, or a grandparent that's dropping off one of their kiddos after school, or an aunt or an uncle that's coming to drop their kid off. We're connecting with them too and seeing what they need, and how we can better support them. And then we have, we ask for feedback, we ask for suggestions, and then we ask parents to get involved in our parent advisory committee. And that's a big thing that drives how the Family Resource Center runs. The Parent Advisory Committee is a group of parents and caregivers, and then also community partners. We have some members on the Parent Advisory Committee that are not parents. Some are grandparents raising grandchildren, some are foster parents, some are just community members that want to help. And they get together once a month on the second Wednesday of the month to talk about what's going on in the community and what children and families need to be successful. And then we make those things happen.
So the door is really open to anybody who is a children, family that need help.
Yes, but we're not going to turn away anybody, because we're about community strengthening. So if it's an individual that doesn't have a family and still needs support, we still want to help them, because if they can become stronger and we can strengthen them, then they can strengthen the community and kind of bring more people together.
This is more of a, I guess, I'm kind of setting you up here. I'm setting you up with a question here.
Okay.
Because I have my own feelings because I've been a pastor, so I've seen people who are in need. What do you think the biggest misconception people have towards a family that needs assistance? Because I think that's what prevents people from coming through the door.
Is the misconception?
Yeah, what's the misconception people have about those families?
I would say that they're not trying and that they don't care. I think that is a common misconception. People can pass judgment on anybody and everybody, but if they were to come to the FRC, then we get to know them, and we don't pass judgment, and we focus on their strengths and see how we can support them in whatever area they're at. I
believe you nailed it. I think you nailed. That's exactly what it is. The misconception is that people normally think that people who need help don't care, or that they don't try. Mm-hmm. And there are people that are that way. But I'll tell you, a large majority of people who actually need help because of tragic accidents in life, tragedy, trauma. Those are the things that cause them to need help. And most of it's not self-inflicted. That's what I have learned as I've had people come in that have lost jobs. And I can even say that I'm kind of a victim of that as well. Not to that extreme, but I've been to a place in my life where I didn't know what I could do or want to do. I had zero motivation. I was living in a psychological depression that was really, really bad. And I just didn't care anymore. But I did. Like, I cared, but I didn't know what to do. And it was because I was crippled from a trauma that happened. And once I got through that, it was like, oh my gosh, everything changed for me. Like, all changed the next day. I was like, wow, okay, I'm motivated again. It's time to go out. But you find yourself in that place, and that doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean they're mentally weak. It means that they're crippled, and they just need a crutch just for a moment to help them get through. And I think that's the biggest misconception. And people or they're dumb. That's another one that I've heard. Well, if they were just intelligent, if they're educated, they would have. Dude, I've seen some of the smartest people in the world find themselves in bad spots because of just bad circumstance in life. I knew a guy who lost his wife in a car wreck, and then his son got cancer. And that guy was a brilliant man, and he just crumbled and was basically homeless. And he needed help. People helped him, and now he's back. He's the CEO of a company, right? But there was a point where he was living under a bridge. Now, is that guy stupid? By all means, no. The guy was just hurting, and he was broken. He needed help. Mm-hmm. And so if you're hurting or broken and you need help, I want to encourage you not to hide in a room or give up. Go to a place like this, and they can come and help you. But yeah, I believe that's the biggest misconception is that, and you nailed it.
I think I also want to highlight misconception is also that people should know better. They should just know how to parent. They should know how to interact with others or how to solve conflict. But we don't know what we haven't been taught. And so if you grew up in a home where you were never taught that or something else was modeled for you, I'm not saying that your parents were not great parents. It's that they themselves didn't have the skills to teach you those skills. And then unless you are intentional about learning those communication skills or learning those parenting skills or self-regulation skills, unless you're intentional about that, then you're just going to repeat the cycle, and that's what generational trauma is. So
I knew nothing about parenting at all. Zero parenting understanding of anything, communicating it, zero. Yeah. Because I was a person who at one point in my life was basically told I can't have children. And so I can't have children, right? But that didn't mean I couldn't have a child. Right. And so we adopted a son. Well, I received my son at the age of 9. When we adopted him, zero communication. I had to do some serious reading, serious to figure out. And at birth, he was a child of the foster system, so it's a little bit different situation for him. So there's more to it than just And I had to do a lot of studying. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine somebody who. And there's another thing. I had the luxury of having enough money to spend the time to read all that material. Like I wasn't working 40-hour work week. I was working like 20 hours a week, making $8,000 a month. Right. So it was a little different for me. I don't do that now, by the way. Like I'm not like that now. Okay. Now it's a struggle, Right. But I look at it and I think to myself, man, I had that luxury, the time. If you didn't have that and you worked a 40-hour work week and you were coming home every day, and you weren't taught these communication skills, like nonviolent communication is not what you think. When you hear violent, you think like abuse. That's not necessarily what violent is. Violent can just be or judging someone right off the bat. I think, well, I don't think you did your homework because you just were being lazy. Yeah. That's violent communication. You don't realize it, but once you can learn how to reword things and understand the mind of a child, certainly someone whose frontal lobe is not fully developed, and you think, how in the world, you just want to wring their neck. How do they not know this? Well, it's because they're not developed in knowing it yet, Right. And so there's so much to it that people don't really understand. And I don't hold them at fault for not being a modeled perfect parent if they've never been taught or had the time to train themselves on how to do it. And there's no shame in that. Right. There's a shame that people have sometimes where they sit back and they think, I don't want to say anything because, gosh, you know how many times I've looked in the mirror and been like, gosh, I must be the worst parent ever. Mm-hmm. Like we all done it. Yeah. Like, because you're like, how in the world did he make this decision? Like, I've taught him better. Like, what am I not doing right? Everybody's been there. We've been watching a show called The Middle. Okay. Have you ever seen The Middle?
It sounds familiar, and I just read someone else talking about it.
Yeah, it was me. It was me on Facebook because I was like, man, this guy Brick, this little kid Brick, is like my favorite character on all television. He has all these like OCD tics. I mean, he's got a lot of things going, but you just love him. Yeah. It's like you love him where he's at, right? So But the show really does show you that this is a family who's probably low middle income, you know, just trying to make it, every week. And you see their parenting skills and you just like you just go, oh my gosh, like some of the things they do. But you're like, that's the real world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because they haven't been, they work 40-hour work week. I mean, they are that family that is like doing everything they can. They have the best intentions, but you hear sometimes some of the things they say, like, well, we'll just float your birthday till next month, and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, you're floating their birthday. Like, that talk about psychologically damaging your child. But they
Right.
have no idea. They're just trying to make it the next day, but it's like, there's a reality behind that. And it's okay for people to feel like they are at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And it's okay to feel that. But what's not okay is to do nothing about it.
Right.
And that's where I'm like, that you guys are there to help them. I think
Yeah.
that's really, is there any story that, no, you don't have to share a name, anything that you have seen someone's lives change through coming to your center?
Uh, yes, I've seen multiple lives change. I have two that I could speak about. One is a student and one is a parent. I'll talk about the student first. So, this student started with me when we launched the program, and I believe we first launched in November of 2024 as far as our after school program. And so, this kiddo started with me, and this kiddo reminded me a lot of the kids that I worked with in Washington that would be in my self contained classroom, that would have very impulsive behaviors that was a product of the trauma that he experienced. He was being raised by a grandparent. He, I could see the good in him, and some of the other kids would get really frustrated with him. A lot of the kids would get frustrated with him, but over the time, I built a relationship with this kiddo, and he has matured over the time as well, to where he's better able to manage himself and he's able to process things with me, like his choices or his reasons for procrastinating, or when he gets distracted with homework. I'll sit and do homework with him for like an hour and it's constantly redirecting him back to it. But I don't ever stop. I don't quit because he needs someone to be consistent in his corner. And he has his family that has been consistent. He doesn't have his mom or dad around. He actually lost his father while he was in the program, but he hadn't seen him in a long time. And I knew that his mom or his grandma that was taking care of him was going to want to focus on the funeral, and the service for her son. And so I offered to come and be a support for that kiddo at the funeral. And I know that that was really special for them. And it was special for me too to get to see a lot more, a closer look into their family and who this kid's father was before he made the choices he made, and seeing what this kiddo can be, but also being that solid support for that grandparent so that she could do what she needed to do and didn't have to worry about him, because he can be, he can require a lot of attention and a lot of supervision. So he is navigating friendships a lot better now. He is helping my younger students. He still has times where he says, I hate myself, or I wish I could die so I could go be with my dad. Things like that, heartbreaking things, or I'm stupid, that's why I can't do this, I'm so stupid. He'll tell me about experiences with bullying, all the time, from when he was little up until now. And I just talk through it with him and help him navigate those bullying situations, but also while finding himself and strengthening his own skills. Because I see a really great kid in there, and I think other people see something else, and I want them to be able to see what I can see, and I want him to see what I can see as well. And so that's one reason I keep doing what I'm doing is to help the kids and the individuals see what's in them. And that kiddo is still in my program, and luckily I get him for another year next year, so that I can help him strengthen those social skills before going into middle school, where it's going to get a lot rougher to navigate things. Um, and then the parent. So this parent is not from here. She also is from another state, and now she lives here. And she had a really terrible accident and basically had to relearn how to walk and all the things. And so she's doing that now, but she also was raising 4 kids at that time as well. And so she's kind of shut down after that accident, and her kids have experienced a lot of trauma from that. She enrolled her kiddos in our program, and through me connecting with the kiddos and showing that love and that trust there, she started to open up more, and then she took a chance on coming to the parent advisory committee. And after that, she was hooked, but she's still kind of in her shell, and she'll have conversations with me telling me about what she used to be like before the accident, or before some unhealthy relationships she's been in the past. And she's like, I want that back. I want to be that person again. And so I've been alongside her. I feel like I'm praising myself too much, but I've walked alongside her and encouraged her and invited her out to do things. Invited her and her kids to come do things at the program, just getting her more engaged. And the confidence in her has skyrocketed. She still has a long way to go, but it's skyrocketed, and she's willing to take chances. She'll come and help me with things at the FRC for free, because she's not physically able to work because of that accident. And so she just wants to feel needed and feel that passion and help other families learn about what we do and help them feel empowered. And so I think that's happened with multiple families, but this one in particular, she is very open about communicating that with me, and that really helps me keep going and keep doing what I'm doing. And the fact that we've been able to do that with her, she sees the value in the Family Resource Center, and she sees what it can be, and she sees my vision for it, and that it can be something huge, and it can be a huge support network for everybody in the community. And we just need to lift each other up and keep going.
That's amazing. That is the result of being able to come. And I don't think you were bragging on yourself at all. I think you were just sharing that that's what you guys do.
Yeah.
Like that's what you do. And I think that is such a special service that you provide. I mean, that is so special to help people when they're at their lowest moments. So that pretty much answers one of my questions. Is that what success looks like to you?
Yes, on a like individual day-to-day scale, yeah, success looks like that. And then also another success in a whole different way. So I help with the social emotional aspect of things and the navigating relationships, but also our after-school kiddos participate in a program called IXL. Have you ever heard of that? So it's an online platform. I used it during COVID when I taught up in Washington, and I thought that I could bring it here. So it is an online platform that does language arts, math, social studies, science, and also Spanish. So I have a set amount of accounts that I can set up. And I have set up each of my students, as well as some kiddos that started the program and weren't able to stay, but they're still able to do their IXL. And so these students, since they started I think we started September 2nd, started answering questions. And this is 28 students, but they either do their homework from school or IXL. These students have answered 29,000 questions.
Wow.
And have mastered. So it assesses the skills that they're mastering, and these skills are the Oklahoma State standards. And so it assesses those things and it will tell me if they are just practicing it, if they're proficient in it, which means that they've gotten a few right in a row and they're kind of understanding it, and then mastery. And that shows that they've gotten multiple right in a row, so they understand the concept. They have mastered, I had it on a paper, I believe 657 skills.
Wow.
Between my kindergarten through fifth grade students collectively, and they have done over 200 hours worth of learning focused work. And all of these kiddos, when they first started at the program, were like, "Oh, Miss Katie, why do we have to do IXL? Why are you making us do so many questions?" They have to do between 15 and 30 questions a day. And now they all, I mean, they don't love it, but nobody argues with me anymore. They just get on their tablets, and then the process is that they come and check with me to see if they've answered enough questions, and I'll give them guidance on if they need to do a little more or a little less.
It probably gives them an extreme sense of accomplishment, and it's kind of like, I don't want to do it. You get this for all kids. My son's one of them. I'm going to be real. He doesn't want to do his homework ever. Yeah. We have to be on him all the time. But here's the deal. When we're on him and he does it, he'll get A's, across the board. And then when he comes home, he feels pretty dang happy.
Yes.
He's like, look what I did, and it's
celebrate that success.
Yeah, it's like, heck yeah, way to go. And you're building, you're letting them see reward out of hard work as well. Like, you work hard, you can be rewarded, and rewards don't come in monetary value.
They don't.
Sometimes it comes in knowing that you can do it.
And that student that I was speaking about, that young boy, we did a challenge in December. I wanted to see how many I could get them to do. And so it was a leaderboard. And so it was whoever answered the most questions, the top 5. And so this kiddo started out, he wasn't even on the list. And then he got on the list and he was like, whoa, that's cool that I can be on this list. And then he pushed himself and pushed himself. And guess how many questions he answered?
What's that?
700 questions in the month of December. And December is a short month.
Wow.
So this kid that struggles to focus during an assignment with me was able to sit and answer all of those questions at his level, and he was so proud of himself. I got a picture taken of him and the other kids that completed that challenge, and I learned that he took it home and put it in a magnet case, a magnet frame, and has it on his fridge, and he carries it around.
Aww.
So for this kid that tells me he's stupid and that nobody likes him, everybody hates him, for him, seeing that pride in his face when he accomplished that that's what makes me do it. But funny little follow-up to that is, in January, he's like, Miss Katie, I don't need to answer any questions. I'm going to let somebody else win this time.
Aww.
And I was like, no, but you still got to do your work. Nice try.
Well, I think I know how to fix bullying. You know how you fix bullying? Okay, this is how you fix it. And I know it'll be so unpopular because I'm going to use a word here that's going to drive people crazy.
Let's hear it.
China.
Tell me more.
Okay, so China, you know what they do?
What?
They have a no tolerance policy.
Okay.
You bully once, you go home. You bully twice, you never come back.
Oh, okay.
Parents then go, wait, I have to take care of them?
Yeah.
You better not be a bully at school. Bully once, you're not bully twice, you never come back. And then they have another school that's purely for that. And it's not it's almost like military school. You don't want to go there. And they don't deal with it. Okay. People are afraid of bullying because they're like, I don't want to go there. It's like going to jail.
Yeah.
They don't want to go there. So when they go to school, they don't bully.
Yeah.
They just don't do it. But we have so much tolerance for bullying, like we do. I mean, and we've allowed, and I'll say this, again, it's going to be so unpopular. We've allowed TV to glorify it. Bullying is kind of funny or fun or whatever, and it's tongue-in-cheek play. Mm-hmm. That's what we've made. Our television's made it that. And then you tell kids to just suck it up. It's part of life. It's what you got to, it doesn't have to be a part of life. If our society rejects bullying and says, you're a bully, you're not allowed to do anything, people will say, I don't want to be a bully anymore. But when you think they can get a laugh out of it or attention or they become kind of popular. I mean, I'm going to be real, and this is everywhere. This goes across the board. Every school has it, from a Christian school to a public school. They can be vicious. And I'll be real, it comes from the women more than the men. It can be so vicious. And people just kind of let it go. Like I've seen school and teach, well, they got to suck it up. It's life. No, it's not. If you ever worked in, if I was CEO of 2 businesses and a vice president of another, if that kind of stuff happened in my business, you were fired. Like there wasn't even a talking to. Like if you, and I was paying people $10,000 a month, right? You go in and you start bullying somebody or trying to push your will onto somebody. I just walk in and be like, you're fired.
Yeah.
And people knew that. And they were like, we're going to be the best employees ever. Yeah. We're going to be super kind and nice to them. We're going to lift each other up. We're not going to do that. Like, and people thought I was harsh, but I was like, no, like
zero tolerance.
Zero tolerance. There should be zero tolerance for bullying.
Well, let me challenge your thoughts on this a little bit. Do you like to be challenged?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So kids, when they're kids, bullying at adult level is a lack of them learning the skills to regulate or communicate. But kids, when they're bullying, it's often because they're hurting inside and they're trying to put that on somebody else. So when I hear about bullying, my first question is, what's going on with that kid? What support do they need? They're asked. So this is something that I use that would help me get through the days when I was getting beat up in that special education school, was the kids that need the most love ask for it in the most unloving ways. Mm-hmm. And so teaching them how to ask for it in a healthier way. But I think that we need to get more to the root. So yes, the scared straight tactic I think works. I think
there's also when you send them to the other school, that's what they do.
Yeah, they bully them.
No, they that in China, when they send them to those schools, they get there and they figure out what the root of the problem is for these kids.
Oh, okay.
And then they will let them go back over time. But the kids don't want to go there to begin with, mm-hmm. But the ones who do, you need to identify, because that is true. I mean, I get it. Most people hurt people because they're hurt. Mm-hmm. Like that's why. But what ends up happening is that person who's hurting another person, that person who's on the back end of the bullying, you're now creating another bully.
Yes.
And so then now you have to get rid of them to prevent it.
Yeah.
And then when you have them in another facility, you say, okay, now this is the bully school. And this is where we're going to find out the root cause of what. It's not really more about education, as we need to figure out what's psychologically wrong with these kids. And it's not, that sounded bad, like wrong. Yeah. Like there's nothing like what's causing the root of them to be this way. Like they're not really wrong.
Right.
I don't find sinners as people who are wrong.
Right.
That's total counter to the church. Okay. And I'm a pastor. The truth is we're all sinners. We're all in need of a savior. Mm-hmm. We need it.
Yeah.
And the person who says that I'm not a sinner, you're the worst one of the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
So these bullies, zero tolerance. You find them in a place and you say, okay, now we help them and walk them through it. But you have to remove them from the rest, because all you're doing is creating another bully.
Right.
That's my take. Now, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that's my take. So go ahead. Because you did challenge me, and I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you.
I agree with you that removing them from the situation would be a great way to do it, as long as where they're going, maybe we can take what China does and maybe add some evidence-based practice behind it that shows how to repair or help rewire the brains of those people that, or those youth that are bullying. I have heard of so many bullying scenarios in this community with all the kids that I've worked with. And so I reached out. So our Family Resource Center is part of a bigger network, an Oklahoma network, and then a national network. And so I reached out during one of those meetings and I asked if anybody knew any bullying programs, any agencies that are working to end bullying. And I was introduced to one in Tulsa. And so I had connected with him and got to learn a bit about that and the way that they're doing things there. I don't remember all the details, so I'm not going to speak to that. But I was like, that needs to come to Enid and Garfield County. And I believe that it was something along the lines of where they would go into each of the schools and they would have workshops, like regular workshops with the kids and with the teachers, educating on what bullying looks like, ways to solve it. And then I've also heard about, like, there's this, I think it's called the Stop It app. My nephew was telling me about how you can report bullying on there anonymously. And I think that really helps kids want to say something, because right now when I ask kids what they've done about it, they'll say, I told the teacher, but they didn't do anything, or I'm not going to tell them because then they'll just bully me more, or then they'll call me a crybaby, or then they'll keep targeting me. I'll talk with kids and ask if they've talked to their parents about it, and they'll say no because they don't want their parents to talk to the school, and then the school, sometimes there are different ways that you can handle those sorts of situations within the schools, and sometimes that's putting both kids in the same room and one saying, I didn't say that, and the other basically backing down because they don't want to get bullied more. Right. And then they're made out to be a liar, and it's just a vicious cycle. But there's a practice that we used to do at our school in Washington, which I benefited from multiple times when I got injured, was restorative justice. And we had a school counselor there that would facilitate those. And it was basically helping both sides of the conflict understand the other person's side, and make a plan for moving forward to repair that. I love that. I wish I could bring all of the things that I've learned here, but I don't know that everybody is ready for that.
No, they're not. And this is the truth. I'm gonna be real, and this drives people crazy, but they know me. It's weird. One week someone will say he's the most conservative person you'll ever meet in your life, and then a week later they're like, he's the most liberal person you'll ever meet in your life. There are things that actually work that get rejected because we're in Oklahoma. And they'll say, well, we're a conservative state. We don't do those things. Maybe we should. Now, here's the thing. I'm about as conservative as they come. But there are some things that the other side of the aisle do very well. And you need to look at that and say, well, how can we incorporate some of that here? But we are a very stubborn state. We are, and I'm not saying people are right or wrong. I'm saying, no, I can say people are wrong. Like I can hear and say people are wrong when they take an ideology and they say everything they say is right. They're wrong if they do that. They're completely wrong. If you walk lockstep with people, you're wrong. I vote basically on the aspect of I agree with more stuff that they agree with, but I don't agree with everything. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you right now, there's a laundry list of things I don't agree with. Yeah. But to incorporate some of that stuff here, and I think I know where you're going, that's probably why we don't get it. Oklahoma's not ready for the truth of what's happening. That because if they did, they would have to look at their self and say, well, some of the things we believe might not be right.
Yeah.
We don't have to go there, but I'm just saying, like, I know that's a truth. Like, I know that's a real thing.
It is. So when I came here, I thought I had all this great stuff to offer Oklahoma. With my social work background, my teaching background, my experience with kids with significant behavior disorders. But when I got here, I found that there was nowhere for me to teach the type of kids that I wanted to teach, but also those programs aren't around. And then I was looking for positions, maybe a special ed position within a school district, and thought maybe I should give it a try. But the pay was half of what I was making in Washington. And to not be able to do the things, support children and families the way that I was able to in Washington. In Washington, special education was viewed differently. I wrote IEPs. I wrote the highest tier of IEPs, which are safety net IEPs. My IEPs would be like 30 pages long because the goal of an IEP is to explain the whole child, explain what they need, what you've observed, and how to support them through it. But also, they shouldn't have to retell their story every single time they switch schools. It should be a living document that can travel with them. So the way that I felt it should be done and the way that we did it at my school was to actually put a lot of time and effort and data into it. We put a lot of information into it with the hope that when that kiddo went back to their home school, that they would be set up with an IEP that clearly outlined everything they needed, from behavior support to academic support. But it was also done in partnership with the parents, because they know their kids the best. That's how things should be done. And when coming here, I learned that that was not the case. And so I was hesitant to be part of the education system here.
And that's not a dig on teachers. That's just a dig on the system.
Great. Yeah. But also on COVID. So there was a community needs assessment done, I believe it was in 2023 here in Garfield County, and I think all over the state. But this needs assessment identified that the parents that had kids during COVID were struggling with social skills among their kids, learning how to interact with other kids, but also they were behind academically. And so that community needs assessment determined what the Family Resource Center was going to be. So we are behavior focused and academic focused. COVID, a lot of people think that COVID mostly, well, it impacted everybody, but they think that it impacted the kiddos that were born during COVID and that were maybe in those first 5 years of life in COVID. But what I'm seeing is that those kids that were in kindergarten, first, second, third grade during COVID, they didn't get to learn how to do school the right way, because that's what kindergarten is for, is developing those foundations, and they missed those, and they missed how to interact with their classmates and stuff. So now we have kids going into fourth, fifth, sixth grade that didn't learn how to read. I have some kids that are in those grades and are struggling to read, and not for lack of trying, but because it was a struggle during COVID, and then it just kept building onto that. They'd go back to school and then they'd want to hide the fact that they didn't know what they were doing.
What they should have done was just make them go back and retake.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you were a 6-year-old or 7-year-old kindergartner, like if they had to do that, and they should have just stopped everybody and pushed everyone back. Like, just, we're pausing school. When we come back, you'll be in the first grade again.
Yeah.
We're not going to just push you through. That's what they should have done.
That's what they should have done, but we can't go back in time. So now what do we do moving forward?
We'll tell you, ECS did the right thing.
What is ECS?
Emmanuel Christian Schools.
Oh, okay. What did they do?
They just kept going to school.
Oh, okay. So it would be interesting to do a study on those kiddos that attended school through that time versus the kiddos that
had a quarantine for kids that had COVID, and that's where they would go, but they kept doing school.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't stop. They even brought a teacher in with the COVID kids and said, "We're still teaching you." And they just, God will take care of us, but we're not going to hurt their education. That's what they did. And I was like, wow, they did that with my son.
Yeah.
Like, they were like, "You're coming to school.
Okay.
You're going home for your 2 weeks or whatever. And then after that, you're coming back, and we're not going to shut down for 3 months, 4 months." They just did it.
Yeah.
Which I was like, wow, and I know they were breaking the law, I'm pretty sure, because they were telling them unless it's essential work or whatever, but they literally saw the writing on the wall. They were like, this is going to hurt these students, and we're just going to go ahead and do it and pay the fine. And it was like, and parents were all like, yeah, we're in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty cool to see how that worked out. I just go back real quick, like the because this is what the bullying thing, like it
Yeah.
really does drive me crazy. Here's a scenario that there was this kid, and this probably happens at multiple schools, but this kid's overweight, right? And he's been told that his whole life. So he went on a crusade and lost a ton of weight. Then he comes back to school, and you know what the girls now say?
Bully him for being too thin.
No. Now they say, and this is like, and he's not this. Like when you see this young man, you're like, he's just a really good kid. Like there's nothing wrong with him. They say things like, "You're so ugly, no one's ever going to want to marry you." Yeah, and these are yeah, and these are like the popular girls, you know. And I'm like, and they let him get away with, like they're like, yeah, it's pretty bad. And they'll call him in the office and say, girls, you can't be talking like that. You know, that's just really mean. And then they go out and then they go tell their friends, hey, guess what? He's such a baby. He went to the office, you know, and now he's a baby, you know, and it's like, then you sit there and you think to yourself, why do we tolerate that? Like when they came to the office, it would be, you need to go and say you're sorry. And if it happens again, or if there's even gossip, you're going home. Mm-hmm. Like that should be the standard.
Yeah.
But it's like, nope, they let him go run around, and then they think it's funny. And now other girls do it. Like now it's like a little thing. Let's go make fun of all the boys, you know? And it's like, they have no idea. And I realized this as a kid. Like, I'm so ashamed of this. I remember this. I didn't realize it until later on in life. There was this girl, and oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm sharing this story.
Let's hear it.
All right, this is the worst of me. Okay. There was this girl when I was in high school, and she just was in love with me. Like I knew it. Like she'd always hint. And then one day she said something. I can't even, this is how stupid it was. I can't even remember, but she said something and it kind of dug at me. And I was like, I can't believe she just did that in front of everybody. And it was my pride and my ego, you know, and she was a cheerleader. So everybody thought, you know, the world of her, you know. I just never had that, you know, for her. Right. So one day I was sitting out and we were eating lunch, and one of the guys was like, man, she's such a, you know, whatever. She thinks she's all this and that. And I was like, watch this. Oh my gosh. Doing it purely for attention, thinking I'd get a laugh. And I went up to the girl and I said, hey, you know, I've never asked you. And I thought I would. No, I remember now what it was. One of my friends was wanting to go out with her and she wouldn't do it. She was like, no. And I was like, oh, really? Okay. Well, you know, God, I'm such a jerk. I go up to her. Yeah. And I'm about tearing up thinking about it right now. I was like, oh, I can't believe it is. So I walked up to her and I said, hey, you know, I know that for a while now, you know, you've hinted and this and that, and I've never really asked you, but would you like to go out? And she like glowed up. She's like, oh my gosh, I would love to. And with everyone standing there, I looked at her and I said, I bet you would. And I walked off. Yeah. And I thought, you know, she's a popular girl. No one's going to care. Mm-hmm. She's not going to care. And it was like at a reunion when I saw her. She came up to me and she said, you know, and I forgot about it. Like it was like a one moment thing. She came up to me and she said, you know, when you did that, I was like, yeah. She goes, I carried that all the way through college. And I was like, what? She was like, every guy I was ever with, I was scared that they were going to. And I thought, I should have had a zero tolerance, man. The minute that happened, if someone found out, they should have sent me home. And I should have came back and I should have found her and said, I'm so sorry for doing that. I'm so sorry. And I know I was a kid and just stupid, and mm-hmm. I was trying to stick up for my buddy. I mean, I remember now. I mean, it's all coming back to me. It was my buddy, like, and it was just like, man, it really is the lowest moment of my life. I have done really bad things in my life, and we all have, right? But that one stuck with me forever. Yeah, she changed my heart, because like from that point forward, I was like, I got to be very careful with the way you think you're playing or joking or having fun. And that's what these girls don't realize today. The amount of scarring that they can do to somebody just by, no one's ever going to love you and no one's going to like you and you're ugly and no one's going to want to marry you, and it's like, why would you even say that? And then they all laugh about it and walk away. I'm like, what a bunch of jerks. And then I'm like, I did the same thing, but I didn't realize I was doing it. I thought this girl, well, she's Miss Popular,
Can't be phased.
Yeah, can't be phased. She wears it like I'm the best, and then to find out that she was like, yeah, all through college, you were on my mind all the time. She's like, I would go and a guy would start talking to me and she goes, and then you would pop in my head. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like I felt like the worst person ever.
So do you think that if you were back in that age, if someone gave you a heads up about how it would impact her?
Oh, I wouldn't have done it.
You wouldn't have done it
I wouldn't.
moment?
I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. I truly thought that I was just getting back at her for fun for what she did to my friend. Like I didn't think of it as, I didn't. I mean, it didn't even cross my mind. And remember, I was in the age of the American Pie movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
That should tell you everything.
Yeah.
And we were not smart. We were stupid. We were dumb. And I look at it, so I have empathy for kids who make mistakes. But when we do nothing about it, that's what blows my mind. Like we just let it go. And I know these girls, I know them, and they keep doing it. And they just continue to just kind of, well, it's a part of life. It'll help them get thick skin.
No.
And I'm like, no, you're literally allowing them to just be broken. And when you don't feel like you have anyone to protect you, it can be very dangerous for that person.
Yeah.
And I've been on the other end of that, and it's weird because when I grew up, and it took, this is a true story. So, and I remember my PE teacher calling my mom, because we were out playing football, and I would get made fun of all the time, and I like didn't care, like, well, I did, but I act like it didn't matter. And they would call me Dumbo. They would make fun of my ears. They would call me the pasty white boy. I was the minority in my school, and it was just like they would just say things and just, cruel. And one day we're playing football and they throw it, I catch it, I run it in for a touchdown. And when I get done, I drop the ball, and then one of the kids trips me. And when I'm on the ground, the other kid picks up the football and he was like, F you, and he threw the ball right in my face. And they all started laughing. And I remember getting up, and I remember looking down and a piece of blood came out of my nose. And when I saw it, I don't remember anything after that. I don't remember a single thing. The only thing I remember is the PE teacher grabbing me and dragging me into the school. And he called my mom and he said, I've never seen your son do this. Like, he's like the model. He's so good. Because I was always trying to be a good kid. Something happened and I snapped. And he said, if we weren't out there, he might have killed that boy.
Oh, so you went dark and your body reacted.
Yeah. And it wasn't good. Like, the kid's face was very, I think they lost a tooth, broken nose, it was not good. And I was sitting there and I don't remember, I really don't remember doing the fighting. It just something happened, and it was the buildup of all those times being bullied. Well, what ended up happening out of that was no one ever bullied me again.
Yeah. Because
they were like, he'll actually fight back. Like, he's not going to just sit there. So the bullying stopped, but that wasn't the way to do it. Like, that's not the proper way of, handling that situation.
It was effective.
Yeah, it was effective. But yeah. But what happened then was I started to have this whole idea that as long as I projected that I was tough, people wouldn't mess with me. But that's not who I was. And so I had to live 10 years of my life, like going through school, as I'm this tough person that you don't want to mess with, just so I wouldn't get bullied. Now, I didn't bully people. Like, that wasn't I didn't go around, but people knew, like, if you said something, I would pop right back. and but that's not who I was. Like
Mm.
who I was inside was someone who wanted to like have peace with everybody and just, but I never got that, and then
So you're hiding behind the wall.
well, and then it became a part of who I was in business. Like when I got into business, now I was really successful in business, but a lot of it was because I wouldn't take crap, and all of that was built because of these kids making fun of me as a kid. Now I've been through some counsel, as you can probably tell,
Yeah.
that I've realized this stuff throughout time. Like, man, there were things that really shaped me, and it came from that bullying. And it's like the zero tolerance. Like, so when I say zero tolerance, I'm not saying zero tolerance is and don't love those people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying zero tolerance and don't let them continue to do it, because it can literally long term affect people. Because I believe this at my core. I believe this, and most people think I'm just saying this, that it's just, but I do truly believe this. There is no such thing as a person who is disfigured, disabled, or ugly. It doesn't exist. We as a world have created that. I truly believe that everybody is beautiful. There is not one person who walks the face of this planet where you look at them and I look at them and go, ooh, I don't. I can find the beauty in everyone. And it's there. And it's hard for me to, because people are like, yeah, you just say that stuff. It's like, no, I seriously feel that way. I don't believe there's an ugly person. I don't. And I don't see a disfigurement in somebody. I always look at what's beautiful about them. And if you focus on that, then everybody's beautiful.
Yep.
And it's like, why can't we think that way? As a culture, why can't we think that way? And I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why it's hard. It's not a hard thing to do. To just stop and say, okay, what is it about my wife is really good at when we go somewhere, and people love my wife. I mean, seriously, I don't know a person who doesn't like her. So I don't know one person who doesn't like my wife. It's because she genuinely believes that when she'll walk into a place, she will size somebody up and she will say something good about them. Because all she does is look for the good. And even if it's as simple as their purse, she'll walk and be like, oh my gosh, your purse is so cute. Or even if she'll go up to someone like, oh my goodness, I just love the way you walk. There's something, she will find the one thing about that person that she loves, and she tells them. She doesn't go without telling them. And as I watched her do that, I was like, why don't we do that? Like when we meet people, why don't we come up to them and just tell them, what do we like about that person? Not what they can do better.
Right.
Not being critical towards them. What do we like about them? I don't know. That's just that. The bullying thing really bothers me. Like, it just bothers me because I feel like it is the beginning of the creation of hate in people. And it creates hate. And we have all and then you see it happen in the political world now. And now adults are just jumping in. And I'm not saying any of them are right. I'm gonna be real. Donald Trump is not a good man sometimes, and the liberals aren't good either. Like they all become bullies eventually, and they're just bullying one another and just spewing things at each other that is just hate, and then it builds resentment and bitterness towards the other people, and the next thing you know, there's nothing but hate there.
Right.
And it's on both sides. It's all people. When can we stop and look at someone and say, what do I love about that person? Yeah. Not what do I know, not what do I disagree about them, but what do I love about that person? Let me tell you why. That's why it's important.
Okay.
It's what Jesus did.
Told them what he loved about them.
Yes. When Jesus would walk to someone, he would see and know their faults, yet he would love them anyway. He would love them exactly where they were. He knew Judas was a betrayer, yet he loved him like it was just like everyone else. Peter denied him 3 times, yet he never even brought it up. He loved him exactly where he was. The Samaritan woman, or the Samaritan woman by the well, who had multiple husbands. Jesus told her, I'm not talking about that husband. I'm talking about your real husband. And she's like, whoa. Yeah, you know what he does? He doesn't bring it back up after that. He's just, I know you.
Mm-hmm.
And then he loves her anyway.
Yes.
Like, but we live in a world that says, I know what's wrong with you, and I'm going to criticize you for it. And I'm going to bury you for it. And I'm going to let the world know how awful you are. Instead of looking at that person going, you know what? Let's not worry about that. What do I love about that person?
Yes. I think that's how we run the FRC, is through that lens of loving the people and finding the beauty in them and building them up.
Yeah.
We don't need to keep tearing people down. Something that, so I believe it was Friday last week, one of my students came to the program in tears. And I let them know that they're allowed to take space if they'd like, and to let me know when they're ready to talk. And so the student said she needed space. She went down the hallway and she cried, and I just poked my head down to check on her. And she said, I'm ready to talk. And then she told me about the bullying that she had experienced that day. And I talked through it all with her, trying to figure out like how she responded, if she talked to the teacher, all those things. And eventually we got to the point where she didn't feel comfortable talking to her parent. And so I was like, well, let's come up with some strategies, some ways that you could respond. And I let her know that my strategy for bullies or when people are unkind is I say something nice to them. I give them a smile and I say something nice to them. And so we practiced. And she struggled at first, but then she's like, I could say something like, I really like your shirt, and then smile at them or offer them a hug. Sometimes that'll throw people off. Um, but giving them those strategies that spread that kindness. Um, she did go back and she did try some of that, and the bullying still continued. So that was unfortunate. But then we just have those conversations and we figure out what to do next.
Yeah. Well, because it's like I know I'm just very fortunate. God's blessed me with having quick wit.
Yeah.
You know, so if someone comes at me, I can come right back pretty harsh, really fast, you know, and that was a protection mechanism for me for a long time. Oh, you're going to diss on me. I'll just trash you even worse. And then people will be like, don't do it to him. Right.
Mm-hmm.
He'll go for the jugular. Right. But that as I've grown up and I've gotten older and wiser, returning evil with love is truly the answer to almost every conflict you ever have in life.
Yep.
You just return with love. Example, I mean, we were kind of talking about before. Remember when I released my songs, and like there's this guy that gets online and starts saying stuff that's just blatantly just not true.
Mm-hmm.
I originally was going to respond. I literally wrote something out that was going to just destroy this person, right? And I was like, because I went out, I had my people calling me saying, oh, well, you know, we know all this stuff about this guy, you know, and I could have just started putting stuff out there, right? And it crossed my mind. My sinner side was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. But then the truth sunk in. The best way I can love this person right now is to not respond at all.
Yeah.
And because if I try to show him any type of positive reinforcement, he's going to turn around and say, see, look, and then trash some more. So the best thing I can do is just, if I want to really show him love, don't say anything. And the greatest love I think I showed him was when two lawyers came to me and said, you know, if he doesn't have all of this proof text or whatever, this is defamation on the highest level. And we're looking at a $20,000, $30,000 lawsuit. And they were like, we'll do it for free because we go to your church. And we will run this guy through the ringer for a long time. My response was, how old is he? When they told me, I said, no.
The younger one.
He's under 40. So in my mind, it was, he's got life to live. He'll learn later.
Mm-hmm.
So the greatest loving act I can do now is nothing
mm-hmm.
and not respond.
Yes, because Bullies are seeking a reaction.
Oh,
If you don't give them that reaction,
well,
they move.
because he actually messaged my mother, and he said, "Yeah, don't worry about your son. We're going to give him the rope, and he's going to hang himself." You know, and so that's what he wanted. And so I was like, you know what? The most loving thing I can do right now is nothing.
Yep.
And here's what's even going to be incredible is if I ever, because honestly, I don't know him. I don't really know him. I know a few of his family members, but I don't really know him. And if I ever see him, I'm just going to smile and love him. It's okay. It is okay. You may hate something about me or the way I've done something. That's okay. But I'm going to find the good in you and love you where you are.
Yes.
When you do that, your life is so easy because you don't have to defend yourself anymore. You don't have to feel like you're offending people.
Mm-hmm.
You really, by neighbor talk, Wade Burroughs talk, be unoffendable.
Yes, I love that you said that.
If you can be unoffendable, and just love them back. So when if you think they're going to offend you, they're not offending me. Hey, that's okay. You can say what you want. You can believe what you want to believe, and that's okay. But I'm going to love you anyway. So there's nothing you can do to change my love for you. So It's okay. It doesn't offend me what you think about me. Because at the end of the day, and this is getting a little too churchy, my identity is not in anything you think about me or what you think. My identity is in Christ alone.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, there's nothing you can do to hurt me. There's nothing you can do to hurt me. So if you, right now, the whole Tri-County region is listening right now, what would you want them to hear from you? And we'll close with that.
I would want them to hear that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be open to new things, and we are better together when we work together and support each other. And you don't have to be an expert in any one area. Just show up and be there for the other people in your life. Support them through it non-judgmentally. That's what I want to say. And the Tri-County Family Resource Center will also be here to support you through it.
How can we help you guys?
Ooh.
That's kind of a big deal.
Yes. So we are looking for funders for long-term sustainability, and also so that we can grow our program to reach more kids and families. All of the families we serve currently, they want to tell their friends and family. They want them to be able to come, and we want that to happen. But we need money. Makes the world go round. It makes things happen. We also could use volunteers. So that could be volunteers. I have a lot of different options. So some are like homework helpers, but these would need to be individuals that have a higher level of patience, because a lot of our students have ADHD, autism, ODD, different things like that. So if you have a high level of patience, we are looking for homework helpers. We are looking for behavior, I'm calling them behavior and education support specialists. We also could use help if you know how to work a 3D printer. I have a 3D printer that I'd like to make some prizes for the kids, but also allow the kids to design things. But I don't know how to use it. And so if anybody's interested in helping me with that, resource room, we get we get things donated to us that we can distribute out to the community. And the way that people can access those is we have a resource request survey, and I need people to help me fill those orders and either deliver them, or people can come and pick them up from the FRC. And a big one is anybody that's interested in volunteering for childcare for our different events. It's really important to us that we provide childcare so that parents can attend without worrying about where their kids are, what's going on with their kids, so they don't have any barriers. Currently, we are making it work, but in order to have more families participate, we would love to have some more volunteers helping with that. And the way that you can volunteer, get involved, is going to our Facebook page, which is the Tri-County Family Resource Center. Um, our logo is like a tree looking thing with orange, teal, and blue. But also messaging us on there, asking how you can get involved, and then just sharing the resource so that other families in the community know what we're doing and that there are options out there, and that they can ask for help without judgment.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Ryan.